Benjamin Netanyahu has officially set a date for the IDF terrorists to invade Rafah. How can anyone claim that Israel don't have genocidal intent when they tell Palestinians to flee to a refugee camp and then brutally attack said refugee camp? Israel has told Palestinians to go to safe areas and then attack them in said safe areas. They attacked Palestinians in areas where they were simply trying to get aid. Despite this pattern of behavior, Biden finally drew a red line and demanded that Israel don't invade Rafah. And let's be clear, Biden don't give a fuck about Palestinian lives. He telling Israel not to go into Rafah because he know it will make him look bad. Despite pleading from the Biden administration to not go into Rafah, Netanyahu essentially told him to fuck off. So surely the Biden administration, wishing to preserve the dignity and the respect of the United States, drew a hard line in response to Netanyahu and put their foot on the ground, and the Biden administration is sending Israel more weapons, despite them crossing their red line regarding invading Rafah. Does anyone in the Biden administration know what the term red line means? Well, surely at least Israel is coordinating their actions with the United States and keeping them in the loop, right?
A date for the Rafah invasion has been set. Have the Israelis shared that date with the U.S.?
To my knowledge, we have not been briefed on that date.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has made public pronouncements about a date being set for an offensive in Rafah. Has the U.S. been apprised of such a date?
No, we do not have a date for any Rafah operation. It's one that's been communicated to us by the Israelis.
They didn't even give the Biden administration a date. Have never been a country-to-country relationship like this in the history of humanity. Zionists in the United States keep saying that Israel is an ally, but this relationship essentially boils down to Israel telling the United States to give us weapons and shut the fuck up. Who would think the United States would be the dominant one in this relationship, considering they give Israel all the aid and all the weapons with nothing in return? But despite that, Israel calls the shots, and United States politicians are afraid to cross Israel. Why do you guys think that is? AIPAC turned American politicians into traitors who support and care about Israel more than they care about Americans. So why does Biden do whatever Israel say, despite Israel embarrassing Biden on the national stage over and over again? Because Genocide Joe received more AIPAC money than anyone in history of American politics. Now you guys see why Joe Biden had a long 40-year Senate career and eventually became president? My fellow Americans, our democracy is completely cooked, and many of y'all don't even know it yet. What's poppin'? What's poppin', my friends, my family? Welcome back. I am back for a Tuesday night edition of Nick at Night. Nick at Night is back. You can call it season 2.5. Now we had our week hiatus for the night shows. You guys know I had to bring my boy Nico on Friday. If you guys haven't seen the show I did with Nico on Friday, you guys missed out. I feel bad. I only planned for like an hour with them. We go about 2 hours and 15 minutes. I feel bad because my man's a father. But with Nico House, that man is so powerful. There's no way we can talk about politics for only 1 hour. The breadth of knowledge and experience that Nico House had, he's someone that I can riff, especially about geopolitics, for a very long time. Like I said many times before there was RBN, there was Nico House. And Nico House is killing the game in Hotspot. We are comrades in the Hotspot project. You know, the duos releasing banger after banger on Hotspot, destroying the Zionist imperialist narrative. Bro, X has been popping. X, always popping on the live stream as well. If we are to believe the numbers. I have Zionists, I have imperialists completely in shambles over my page because for whatever reason, like, my tweets on X have been going crazy recently because I've been absolutely brutal dismantling the Zionist regime. I'm going to show you guys one of the funniest ones I had recently. Here, though. This is one I had today. Just already doing numbers. Zionists will look at you with a straight face and tell you that this is not a white woman. I was calling out the U.S. military for being weak. That went viral. I was repeatedly calling out the moral hypocrisy of the West. And many people, especially white Americans or Western chauvinism, they can't stand it. Another viral tweet I had, because I just covered the Rafah story. You have the West that is rebelling against international law. You have the Western leaders. They're not only rebelling against international law, they're rebelling against their own people that are demanding them in a genocide. You have Biden officials, federal officials who resigned in protest. You have 600 officials in Germany that's writing a letter to Germany begging them to stop supporting genocide. No matter what the people do, they won't change. Their bloodlust cannot be sated. Even as Netanyahu goes into Rafah, a massive refugee camp. I need to look at the updated numbers. Maybe I should Google it. But I believe Rafah had 1.1 million refugees. Refugee count. Oh shit, 1.4 million. So Israel tells everyone to go to this refugee camp, and now they're about to attack a refugee camp, and now the West, after saying this is red line, now they got to justify why it's okay. So we have the West that is ruled by not only just the ruling class, but the culture itself is barbaric. We ask Americans, Zionists, these white Americans, when you ask them about international law, they legitimately believe they shouldn't follow that. They legitimately believe that it's only for the undesirables, the lessers. Only the Chinese got to follow international law. Only the Africans had to follow international law. Only the people in the global south, the people we deem third world, only they should follow international law. And the rest of the world is picking up on it. The rest of the world is realizing who the real savages are the entire time. It's the West, who is trying to redefine the rules of war. The same people who will tell you that their enemies are terrorists, their legitimate belief is that they can do whatever they want if you are their enemy. If you are their enemy, you can drone strike and kill their entire family as long as these Western thugs put you on the terrorist list. These are things that anti-imperialists have been speaking out about for a long time. Intellectuals have been speaking out for a long time. Gerald Ford has been speaking out for a very long time. Kwame Ture talked about this for a very long time. This is the contradictions that Malcolm X called out, that Fred Hampton called out, in which I am proud that I am carrying this tradition over, that RBN is continuing this tradition over of hurting white people's feelings because we are telling them the reality about the society that they view so highly of. As they call Hamas, as they call everyone else terrorists, they was the biggest terrorists. I saw a stat. I remember, I top of my head, I don't have the receipt, where Israel over the last 6 months killed more civilians than ISIS in the last 11 years. You know, the organization the United States trained and propped up, but most white Americans would say, I think ISIS is a terrorist organization. That is an opinion white Americans will have. But Israel killed more civilians than they have in 6 months than ISIS has in 11 years. It's actually probably more than that, like if I'm thinking about it. I just saw that stat flowing around on Twitter. So now the tide has changed because now people are realizing that the true animals and the true monsters are the people in the West. This is exactly what we've been telling you on RBN. So another tweet that I had went pretty viral that had a lot of people pissed off, because I had to comment on this shit right here that scares you people for some reason. My mind is decolonized. I am not a bootlicker to the government, and I find the majority of people in this population are. They don't even know it yet. This is the pushback that white America gives us all the time. Man, don't you see those Muslims? These goddamn Muslims, these goddamn terrorist sympathizers, don't you know they're chanting death to America? This shit right here actually infuriates the shit out of white America. This infuriates people more than anything else. Look at the headline here. National Review, right-wing headline. You had Death to America that was trending on Twitter and X. It was trending because there was a ton of white people that was like, oh my God, look at these pro-Palestinian protesters calling for the death of America. So white people get more upset at Muslims for chanting death to America than they do their own country that actually bombs and kills Muslims. I want you guys to sit with that for a second. Because, this is the kind of stuff they use to justify bombing innocent Muslims during the war on terror. Hey, do you see this footage over there? There are Muslims over there talking about death to America. Let's kill everyone in the village over there. So apparently, chanting is where they draw the line. Not bombing hospitals, not sniping children, not creating death zones in Gaza where anyone who goes in the death zone, women, children, no matter who it is, that doesn't bother them at all. But chanting stuff is what does it. So I am the discourse creator. I am the chaos agent. They only have one purpose, and that is to shift over to the window to the left and decolonize your mind, whether you like it or not. A lot of people block me on Twitter. A lot of people unsubscribe when they hear our criticisms of the United States. The criticism of Western chauvinist ideology. This is another discourse starter here. I said, like I just said, white people get more upset at Muslims chanting death to America than their own country that actually blows up Muslim children. According to America, actually blowing up kids is okay, but chanting about something is where we draw the line. That is a trash culture. And boy, you guys can see with 1,000, even though I had 10,000 likes, you guys know I'm putting bangers after bangers after bangers out here. But despite 10,000 likes, there are 1,000 comments. That is what some people would call some sort of a mini ratio when you got 1,000 comments. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people laughing at, agreeing with us. This is our brother Rome laughing. This is our friend Middle Maga. I like him, even though he's on the right. He disagreed with us. We had good dialogue over our disagreements. One thing this is a respectful disagreement. He says, I agree with them on some stuff, but if you think you're going to rally support in America by yelling death to America, you need help with marketing. Once again, this is the general tone police and stuff that I don't like. Once again, I don't have any problem with them because we can have respectful dialogue. My response was, how can you say they need help with marketing when they're already winning the PR war despite billions of Israeli propaganda? People need to understand the era where people tone police activists is dead. It's dead. Like, you're not allowed to say we're making you uncomfortable when you're bombing children. You guys realize that is something you're no longer allowed to say. You guys realize I have been doing nothing but making people uncomfortable recently. Because that is what our society needs. We live in a country, in a society that's undergoing a deep genocidal psychosis. People are just okay with it. Anyway, I think it was funny. I'm going to cover this Nicaragua tweet. Because I'm going to continue to probably, people legitimately get more upset at this than they do their government supporting and denying genocide. Because speaking of genocide, we're going to cover the ICJ trial and I think it's not getting enough covered. Nicaragua is suing Germany for genocide. In this case is huge. And I feel like a lot of people need to understand. The first case was very big, but Nicaragua is suing Germany for enabling genocide. Let me see if I can pull another headline here. And I'm gonna show you guys the arguments that they was making. They had, just like South Africa, a rock solid argument against Germany and how complicit they've been. Look at this headline: Nicaragua takes Germany to court over supplying arms to Israel. A new case before the International Court of Justice argues that the German government is furthering genocide in the Gazan war. Now, the reason why this case is so important, because what this case is designed to do and what Nicaragua is trying to make clear for the international community is to get an answer to the question, what does the obligation to prevent and to punish the crime of genocide, what does that actually mean? And they are actually flowing these questions out for people to answer. What is the obligations that follow from the Geneva Convention, Article 1, which requires all states to respect and ensure the implication of international law. Act 1, Article 1 requires all states to respect and ensure the implication of international law. So that's what this trial is designed to put out there. What does it actually mean? What does Article 1 mean? And we have a new movement right now where there's no longer a third world. It's not just third world countries. It's the global South. Countries now have to acknowledge that this is a global South. And the global South is demanding answers from the West regarding what is actually international law. And this case is huge because it sets the groundwork to hold Genocide Joe accountable. It set the groundwork to hold Joe Biden, Anthony Blinken, Lloyd Austin, Raytheon, all these people providing weapons accountable. Which is why it's a devastating case for the West, and there's been damn near a complete media blackout over it. You can find it covering Al Jazeera, they've been furious at Israel because they've killed multiple journalists over the course of Israel's genocide. But not only that, they killed prominent journalist Shireen Abu Akleh as well. Got away with it. So I'm going to read this because this is what I'm going to just read a little bit of this. Here's a summary of Nicaragua's case against Germany, and I'm going to play a little bit of the video. Let me share this tab instead. Because their argument, just like South Africa, was rock solid. They outlined the following main points in his country's case against Germany. Since October 9th or 10th, Germany has been aware that Israel is committing serious violations of international law. Now, pause there. So this is a very important point. And this is, in the entire trial, an entire argument they made is around 2 hours because they present evidence that shows that Germany knew that Israel is committing violations of international law and plans to continue to. But it's not only that Germany is fulfilling their role as ally to Israel, because they outline in their case that Germany has increased arms sales, well, not arms sales, just giving weapons to Israel, by around 500% since then. So not only did they supply weapons to Israel, they increased it after knowing Israel was committing serious violations of international law. This is a direct violation of the Genocide Conventions. You guys see how the West is rebelling against international law? The West is trying to render international law, and you can make the argument, because I know some people already have, that they have forever, and they have. But now they don't even want to have the pretext that they had to follow international law anymore. Like Germany themselves was offended at the audacity that Nicaragua would put charges against them. The same way that the West was offended because South Africa had the audacity to put charges against Israel. The West position is clear. The people in the global South, the people they call the third world, black, brown countries, you guys know your fucking place. You guys know your fucking role, and you guys don't ever step to the fucking king, which is us. It's an insanely infuriating position, and a lot of people in the world are now rebelling against it. Since the ICJ ruling on January 26, Germany has been aware that Israel violations may amount to an act of genocide. Nevertheless, Germany has continued to violate its international obligation to stop these breaches while continuing to supply aid to Israel. Regarding Western retaliation, do you guys know that the United States is floating ending diplomatic relations with South Africa because they put because of the genocide trial of the ICJ? Let me see if I can find that receipt. I wasn't planning on showing you guys, but I'm thinking about doing a hotspot on this soon. Africa. Actually, what can I search to find this? Africa Review Relations. Here it is. House Foreign. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at this. This shows you guys how mad the West is at Africa for daring doing their obligation for international law. So I need people to state this clearly. The West is rebelling and revolting against the structures of international law that we have in place. House Foreign Affairs Committee approves bill seeking review of U.S.-South Africa relationship. The legislation is a response to African nations' growing relationships with Iran, Russia, China, and Iran, and its genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Just like with Niger, Russia, China, the reason why the West is getting upset with these countries is because those countries are increasing their influence in Africa. And now they're trying to label South Africa as enemy because of that, and because they're holding Germany accountable and Israel accountable for genocide. So the question I have for people, well, not for any of our audience, I don't even think many people to my right would agree, because I've seen the most unhinged Zionist takes. And I've seen the people who push this bill that say South Africa is an evil actor working for Putin to destabilize the West. You guys have no idea the kind of stuff I've seen on cable news, but I never had time to show you guys. That's the kind of shit that they will say about South Africa simply for pursuing genocide charges. So the people who say, oh, well, South Africa is this nefarious actor, the argument I kept making is, what does South Africa actually gain for this? Because when you look at the South African legal team, when you look at the South Africa as a country itself, what do they actually have to gain from this? What do they only have to lose from this? To stand with the Palestinians is actually extremely brave. Let's continue to read some of these updates. Nevertheless, Germany has continued to violate its international. So they explain how they knew about the violation of international law, because knowing about that is important. proven that legally. They explain how they continue to they violated their international obligations inside the breaches. They continue to supply Israel, and they add, and I'm gonna show you guys the demands that Nicaragua is demanding for Germany. Germany, as party to the Genocide Convention, must halt this course of action and respect its international obligations. So I'm gonna get to the list. I know there's a list here of some demands. Oh man, because one of the demands that they had was Germany must continue to fund UNRWA, and that was one of the things, as you see here, that was a big deal. Oh man, what the hell is the? Did I miss it? I think I remember most of it anyway. Because one of the demands that Germany must continue funding UNRWA with a cut, and they continue to have cut. They must end all support for Israel. Damn, they actually updated this a lot since I last seen this article. Wow. Anyway, actually, what I'm gonna show this video because I was gonna show this anyway. I might look for that. I don't know why. Damn. They actually updated this article a lot. Because this is an updated article. I was looking for this list. Damn, they added a ton since I last read this article. Damn. Anyway, I'm going to show you. There's no point in me reading the list. I'm going to show you guys the argument directly. And why. I knew I should have tweeted it. Fuck. I knew I should have took a screenshot and tweeted it. So I have it for the record. I got to find the. But essentially, their demands were Germany must end their support for Israel. They must fund UNRWA. There must be steps taken by the court to punish people who enable genocide. And that's the big part, because this is the steps that are going to be needed to take to hold people like Genocide Joe in the West accountable. So anyway, I'm going to play this video. You guys see, this is
on the ground.
Hours. This is 2 hours of Nicaragua dismantling Israel. So I'll play just a little bit of it. I think it's good.
Mr. President, members of the court, good morning. It is my honor to come before you representing Nicaragua in a case involving its rights and obligations, as well as those of the entire international community, and most importantly, those of the Palestinian people. The case before us involves momentous events affecting the life and well-being of hundreds of thousands of people, and even the destruction of an entire people. But in spite of the gravity of the situation, the facts in the law are very simply explained. Serious breaches of international humanitarian law and other peremptory norms of international law, including genocide, are taking place in Palestine. These breaches are being committed openly, have been witnessed on the ground by thousands of people, and have been viewed on public news services and social media by probably the majority of the population of the world. When a situation of this nature occurs or is in danger of occurring, the obligation for all states are clear. Not only states must not abet the situation by aiding or assisting the perpetrator, but they must use their best efforts to ensure respect for these fundamental norms and prevent their breaches. With respect to these obligations, there are no third states. All states are under the obligation to respect them. They are erga omnes obligations. Germany has violated these obligations imposed on all states. Mr. President, Nicaragua is not a newcomer to the court. On 9 April 1984, tomorrow it will be 40 years, Nicaragua filed an application against the United States for serious violations of international law against its rights and sovereignty. The present case is different, but it has a striking similarity. 40 years ago, in this month of April, during the hearings on provisional measures requested in that case, Nicaragua was asking, among other things, that the court order, and I quote, that the United States should immediately cease and desist from providing directly or indirectly any support, including training, arms, ammunition, supplies, assistance, finances, direction, or any other form of support to any nation, group, organization, movement, or individual engaged or planning to engage in military or paramilitary activities in or against Nicaragua. End of quote. In the present case, Nicaragua is also requesting the court to order that Germany should cease providing support to Israel in its campaign of destruction of the Palestinian people. But in the present case, Nicaragua is acting not only on its own behalf on the basis of the rights and obligations conferred by the peremptory norms invoked, but also on behalf of the Palestinian people that is being subjected to one of the most destructive military actions in modern history. Beyond its legal rights and obligations in bringing this case, the government and people of Nicaragua have a special sympathy for the plight of the Palestinian people. Nicaragua has not had to suffer the levels of inhuman treatment and destruction that has been the fate of Palestine for more than three-quarters of a century. Nonetheless, it has also been subject to intervention and military attacks for most of its existence and feels empathy for the Palestinian people. On the subject of empathy and sympathy, it is of note that Germany emphasizes that its assistance to Israel is a raison d'etat because of the historical treatment of the Jewish people during the Nazi regime. That is an understandable and laudable policy if it were addressed to the Jewish people. The Israeli state, in particular its present government, should not be confused and equated with the Jewish people. The real friends of the Jewish people should emphasize the difference. The Jewish victims in the concentration camps during the Second World War will feel sympathy and empathize with the more than 30,000 civilians, including 25,000 mothers and children massacred so far in Palestine, and the 20,000 children orphaned, and 2 mothers being killed every hour. States like Germany that sympathize with what the state of Israel was meant to represent when it was created should be doing their best to put a stop to what is happening and not continue backing Israel in practice.
Now that's devastating. And another reason why this is just a PR disaster for Germany, because think about it. 80 years later, and now Germany is back on trial for supporting genocide. Germans in the West thought they was above this, and they was not. And I saw some people in the comments mention this, and yeah, it's true. Nicaragua has someone who is of German descent who destroyed Germany for supporting genocide. A German lawyer, I should say, who destroyed Germany for supporting genocide and being back at trial after 80 years of supporting a genocide before. And you guys think Germany is happy about this? I'll say it again. We are witnessing a Western revolt against international law and their own people. Against the will of their own people, they sent arms to Nazis in Ukraine. You have members of the Biden administration resigning en masse. You have letters being written. I mean, I don't think that's strong, but it shows you dissent. People in their own government dissenting against Biden, dissenting against the West, dissenting against EU. In Germany, I haven't covered it a lot, has been chaos since October 7th. Their government is ran by a bunch of Zionists who have a coordinated interest in promoting the state of Israel, because Germany was like, we want to push the blame of the Holocaust on the Palestinians, which they successfully have done. Are the German people paying for the Holocaust? No, the Palestinians are. That was always the plan of Germany. Check out the hotspot video that Nico House made. Amazing, groundbreaking journalism, groundbreaking reporting, showing how this was always the plan. Nazis, Germany, they always had the plan to avoid accountability for the Holocaust, to support this apartheid state of Israel, and then push the blame on the Palestinians. Why is no one else saying like that? Because that's clear what Germany has done. That is the entire ethos of their state over the last few decades. to the point where you have 600 German bureaucrats that challenging Olaf Scholz among the ICJ trial, because there's a blackout here, and I'm sure there's blackouts among mainstream German outlets, but this is hitting like crack in Germany, and I mean that by every sense of the word. It's hitting bad. This shit's hitting like crack. You have people, especially you had this large anti-war coalition that was already established because the Ukraine war that carried on since the beginning, October 7th. There's a lot of grassroots pressure among the German anti-war left that people actually learn something from the Holocaust, but they are silenced by the authoritarian West that never listen. In fact, they despise their people. Meanwhile, people have the audacity to say that China, DPRK, and other countries are authoritarian and totalitarian. Look at how our government is responding to the massive revolt against them supporting a genocide. You have German politicians, German activists begging their government to stop arming genocidal terrorists. You have 80%, at least 70% of Jewish Democrats who support a ceasefire. Let me repeat that for you, because that's the number I do have on hand. Around 71% of Jewish Democrats support a ceasefire, and the response of the Biden administration is "fuck you." The vast majority of their party, independents, 58% evangelicals want a ceasefire. They want arms transfer to Israel to end. For the first time in my life, the majority of Americans are against arms sales to Israel. This is an amazing thing, or it would be if we didn't live in an authoritarian hellhole. I am begging my friends, and this is the most important thing I do, my friends, is to get you guys to stop talking shit about other countries. Stop the bullshit about Iran. Stop the bullshit about North Korea. Stop the bullshit about China. The same way you guys talk about them is the same energy you need to bring to our fucking country. Because everything you guys accuse them of, we are that and some. Everything you guys accuse Hamas of being, we are that and some. Everything you guys accuse the Chinese Communist Party of being, we are that and some. So all the people who've been triggered by my anti-American tweets, my videos, not more on YouTube, but guys, there's a lot of heat on me on Twitter, my friends. From white dudes that like take pictures in trucks with sunglasses on and a trucker hat. Boy, they hate my ass. And I love it. I love that these Western chauvinist snowflakes hate me. Because the height of cowardice are the people who spend their time criticizing other countries while they ignore criticizing their country because they know nothing will change. Oh, you're such a tough guy because you criticize Iran. Oh, look at the tough guy who spent his time criticizing China because you're such a soft cuck. You don't think that you're going to actually accomplish anything in your country. You don't think you're going to end the corruption in your country. You don't think you're going to end the authoritarianism in your country. So you talk shit about other countries to make you feel better about yourself. RBN, Nick and CJ, we are the only people who call out the black people who engage in the culture war because they bitch over $9 million spent on migrants in Chicago. And I see people get mad at me for calling them out, but fuck them. You guys are bitching, complaining over $9 million, and why do they do that instead of calling out the billions of dollars that go to Israel? It's cowardice because they don't believe that they can seize the assets of the ruling class. They don't believe they're going to stop the aid that goes to Israel. They don't believe they're going to stop the $850 billion military industrial complex. So what do? They fight for scraps. They yell at the other brown people. They yell at immigrants. They fight for scraps and beg massa for some. They beg and massa for scraps instead of taking what they deserve. And some people got pissed at us calling this out. Oh my God, they spent a $9 million fucking migrant center. $9 million, not shit, fam. RBN is the only channel in existence that have the fucking common sense to say this. You guys fight for scraps, and you guys are wondering why we're not impressed. white people in white channels cheer them on. Have you guys noticed that? White people are like, oh my God, look at the black people upset at the migrants. Isn't it funny? The black people are fighting for scraps. Do you guys understand why me as a black man, I find these people embarrassing? You're fighting over scraps with black and brown people instead of calling out Israel. In the billions we send to Israel. The billions we send out in Nazi Ukraine. And why don't they do that? Why don't they do that? Because they're like, at the end of the day, because I push these people, they will say, oh, well, we know that's not going to end anyway. Oh, we know we're not going to end weapons sale to Israel. We know we're not going to end aid to Nazis, so we might well focus on the migrants because we're fucking cowards. We're fucking cowards who don't want to challenge the ruling class, so we're going to engage in culture war and have white people applaud us. That's what the fucking majority of cultural warriors in this country do, including black ones. And we lost subscribers, my friend. We lost potential because, you know, we would have been at 500,000 subscribers when we played that goddamn game, telling white people what they want to hear, fighting for scrap for white massa like they want us to do. You gotta know is all the white people love the fact that the black people are complaining about migrants because they love seeing us fight for scraps. I have my eyes on the prize. I see the billions y'all send to Israel. I'm not going to demonize my migrant brothers and sisters for taking scraps. I see the trillions that you guys spend on corporate bailouts, but you guys want me to be worried about migrants? Get fucking serious. It's coward shit. You guys don't want to call out real power. You guys know you're not going to decrease the police budgets, so you guys call out the lesser. You guys call out the easy targets. That is what all these people with trucker hats do that is upset at my Twitter presence, because you gotta know I'm much bigger on Twitter than YouTube. They're very upset because I don't buy this shit. I read some super chats and I'll get back to it because I went on a rant. Let's get some super chats. This is gonna be a one-topic stream talking about this ICJ trial because you guys know I'm back Tuesday night. We got some rants all stored up. I'm gonna read this super chat so I come in. Thank you for the $10 Chima. Celebrity chef Jose Andres went from catering to war criminals in DC to feeding Nazis in Ukraine to defending Zionists to answering the deaths of his worker at the hands of the same Zionists. Wow, I'm not familiar who this person is, but I appreciate the super chat and the story. Thank you for the 199 mouse and the super sticker of Biden. So I'm gonna continue this. Let me calm down, compose myself. Actually, let me play this other clip because you guys see it was long. There's so many of these clips. Damn, I might have to cut some of this goddamn story. Fuck. Anyway, I'm gonna show you this clip. Just like South Africa, Nicaragua's argument against the ICJ was on fucking point. Now let's listen.
The Palestinian people have the right to self-determination. That means that they have the right to take up arms against alien occupation and against racist regimes in the exercise of their right of self-determination, as enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations and the Declaration of Principles of International Law concerning friendly relations and cooperation among states in accordance with the Charter. The Palestinian people have the right.
Who else is one of the few people who had the balls to say that? RBN. One of the few channels that didn't take the cowardly position of condemning Hamas. We all acknowledge that Israel are full of baby murdering terrorists. We all know all the evils of Israel. But then you guys say Palestinians can't resist? Sad state that you cover? You guys can tell by my tone, I am about tired of the United States left. The United States progressive class. Because these same people, including people who do good coverage on this, they will say, I'll condemn Hamas. You have Nicaragua, just like the UN Charter states, the Palestinians, Hamas are not terrorists because they have the legal right to self-defense against their criminal occupying regime. And all these white dudes with trucker hats who hate me on X because they're like, oh, Nick is a terrorist sympathizer. There are a lot of these right-wing motherfuckers that are like, man, Socialism MMA, man, what happened to him, man? He turned to a Hamas sympathizer. I used to think Socialism MMA was based, and then I turned against Israel. If you're one of those right-wingers who upset at me because I am a quote unquote terrorist sympathizer, you might as well give up your fucking guns right now. I have a question for you guys. If you guys think the Palestinians are terrorists for resisting Israel, if you guys don't believe Palestinians have the right to self-defense, we might as well tear up the Second Amendment. Give up your fucking guns. Because what you guys are saying is that people can never resist a government. The Second Amendment states that we, and I believe that all humans have the right to resist tyrannical governments. If there's any government that's tyrannical, it's Israel. They have illegal settlements against the Palestinian people. So, sir, ma'am, Robbie, anyone else who have a problem with me, who root for Hamas, don't condemn Hamas, give up your guns. Because if you're saying the Palestinians don't have the right to resist Israel in any state, then no one does. Now you guys see why I don't get invites on shows? You guys see why Piers Morgan won't invite this pro-Palestinian activist on to debate? Why Tim Pool, despite me ratioing him multiple times, will never invite me on Timcast. I have good sources. I said it many times before. We blacklisted on Reuters. RBN is blacklisted. Because I would say shit that would blow their mind. If you're on the right and you condemn Hamas, give up your guns. But we know the fucking reality. We know the reality of what white America really believe, what Western chauvinists really believe. They believe in gun rights only for white people. When they talk about the Second Amendment shit, they're not talking about you. They're not talking about you. If white people ever get pissed off, they can take arms. Black people, God forbid. All of a sudden, Reagan was pro-gun control. White people became pro-gun control real quick when the Black Panthers, whose ideology inspired me, the reason why I would never listen to shit libs and disarm myself, when as soon as they see black people disarm, they talk about gun control. The same white people like, man, I believe we should open carry. I live in one of these states. I live in Missouri, open carry states. They see black people with a gun, all of a sudden they want them arrested immediately. Imagine a young black man with a ton of tattoos walking in Walmart with a ton of guns. You guys think white people be okay with that? But they take selfies when their uncle does it. That's the reality of the situation. And this is what I'm going to continue to bring up to people. If you condemn Hamas, if you don't think they should resist Israel, give up your guns. The Second Amendment serves no purpose. Because at the end of the day, you don't even believe we have the right to resist a tyrannical government. They believe that the police have the right to kill you if you resist them. These people are pro-police bootlickers, but they think they're going to resist a tyrannical government? Under no circumstance should the proletariat ever give up arms. Don't, especially black people, my brothers, if you listening, don't listen to these liberals who are trying to fucking disarm us. Especially, now I'm going to give advice here because it's not my community, but if you're Muslim, definitely don't fucking disarm. There was a rise of anti-Islamic hate at the beginning of 9/11. It spiked since October 7th. You see how much white people hate you, but you want to give your guns up? You guys see how crazy these motherfuckers are, but you giving your guns up? Absolutely not. I am a Marxist. I am not a liberal. I hate liberalism. I despise liberalism. I rejected every single ounce of liberalism I used to have from my system. Don't ever let them convince you to disarm. Because I do believe that we need to resist tyrannical government. I talk about this all the time. We need to create self-government. It's not going to happen overnight. Talk about revolutionary theory, right? Once we create mutual aid societies, once we create self-governance, once we grow our own food, once we have mutual aid society, once we separate ourselves from the system, there's no point in having our own government without having our own militia, bro. And once we ever get to this step, which we are fighting to get to, that's when shit gets real, my friends. Because not only do we have a significant part of the population who disengages from the system, don't engage in electoral politics, we are sustaining ourselves through mutual aid societies. Now we got militias. This is shit that Rome working on. And all of a sudden, we have protests and cops won't show up We like, man, we're not gonna start shit, but we will defend ourselves. That's how you start revolutionary movements, my friend. Anyway, I need to stop ranting. I only got like 10 minutes left. I told myself this is definitely be an hour show, but I am behind. I'll read this tweet. Nicaragua, represented by a German lawyer, makes unimpeachable case. As the genocide in Gaza escalated, Germany increased its arms shipments to Israel tenfold to fuel the massacre. So think about that. And not like Germany was just performing their duties as an ally to a state. They saw Israel's committing genocide. They're like, we will send you 10 times more weapons. They increased their arms sales from 30 million to 330 million. Wow. That's so fucking wild. So you guys see how the arguments, and I'm literally gotta edit this fucking segment. Damn, I'm always over prepared. You guys see how their arguments are devastating to Germany. And now Germany, a country that pretend they repented from their first genocide, they're now being charged with genocide 80 years later once again. So trust me, guys, Germany in the West has not handled this well. I'll show you guys how the United States, they're trying to end diplomatic relationships with South Africa. You had the United States that supported coups in Nicaragua before. They're definitely going to try again. They're definitely not happy with this. You guys can even see by the media coverage. For one, they finding stories on this from the Western media. Look, this is the European Politico branch. So I have to go to European Politico just to find the story, my friends. So first off, it's very important to know, in the United States, there's a media blackout over this story because they talk about the implications of supporting genocide, which is very dangerous for Genocide Joe, but not only him, but every single Republican in Congress. So this is like the scariest thing for them. They're like, no, you guys don't fucking talk about this. I went on YouTube, did a search on all the corporate media channels because I wanted to do a propaganda report. Nobody. I saw some there's a few independent media channels that may or may not be to my, well, they definitely are to my right. They are to my right. They was covering it. But no, this is a story that is so devastating to them. Now listen to the framing of the article, because when they do talk about this story, they couldn't even remotely hide their bias. Germany slaps down Nicaragua charge it facilitates genocide in Gaza. Oh, Jesus Christ. Guys, it is Germany did not slap down Nicaragua charge genocide. You guys know essentially what Germany said? Germany was like, oh, well, Nicaragua proved once again that they're a bad faith actor and falling for Hamas propaganda. There is no evidence that they're genocide in Israel. They think that argument is slapping them down. Like, Germany's arguments have been essentially the same arguments you've seen from South Africa. And I'm gonna read you like some statements from them. I'll show you guys what Nicaragua said. Everything they said is devastating. All their accusations was devastating. And this is the list I was looking for earlier. Once again, they updated this article, so I had to scroll down further down. But look, this is the concluding remarks and what Nicaragua's request at the ICJ was, for example, just to highlight how devastating the overall case was and their demands. Germany must immediately suspend its aid to Israel, in particular its military assistance. Germany must immediately ensure that military equipment or weapons or other equipment used for military purposes already delivered by Germany and German entities to Israel are not used to commit or to facilitate serious violations of the Genocide Convention or international humanitarian law. And Germany must resume its support and financing of UNRWA, which, once again, every single person in the United States Senate and Germany and UK to have played a role in cutting UNRWA during a famine using torture-attained confessions. They have a special spot in hell. And that's why no one would ever convince me about Trump's arrangement. Lesser two evils is dead. Trump didn't do anything that came close to the evil of Biden cutting UNRWA aid. I've asked this question many times on Twitter. No one have even come close. I've asked someone give me an example of something Trump did that's even closely as bad as Trump, as bad as Biden cutting aid to UNRWA during a famine. During a famine where the United States knew, where UK and Germany knew they wasn't getting aid into Israel. And they laid this out in a devastating case. You want to know what Germany said in response? They have no basis in fact or law. That's the kind of stuff they're saying in response to this. These white people are so arrogant. The West is so arrogant that they believe they can just say shit and then people will believe them. Do you guys know I try to show you guys as many receipts as possible, even though some of you guys probably view me as credible. The people who've been following me for a while, if you subscribe to the channel, you guys know I'm not making up shit. You know what I mean? But I still have this deep feeling that I had to show you guys my work. I show you guys articles, I read stuff instead of just interjecting my opinion. Because there's this feeling that I have to prove stuff to you guys. These Western leaders, these people, they just say stuff, and I really do believe they have this hubris and ideology. They believe that if they say it, if their white ass say it, we all should agree and we should all obey. They don't have to show receipts at all. That's how they do politics. That's how they believe life should be. And just like the Biden administration today, saying that there's no evidence that Israel's committing genocide. Just because they say it, they think it's true. There's another tweet. I think this is the same person. I saw her tweet. I think this is what they're talking about. Ursula Gletchen said that Nicaragua rushed to bring this case to court on the basis of the flimsiest of evidence. For example, she said they used flimsy evidence. How can you have flimsy evidence of Germany cutting UNRWA? How can you have evidence? How can you have flimsy evidence of Germany increasing their arms sales 10 times? You see how they just say stuff? Do you know what flimsy means? Nicaragua came up and just stated facts that are undeniable. But just like the Biden administration in the West, they just say stuff. She stressed Germany has left no stone unturned to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Once again, that doesn't remotely make sense considering you guys cut aid to the largest aid organization during a famine. Like, the amount of gaslighting coming from the West is truly psychotic. It's truly psychotic. And it's unbelievable that not many people are matching my tone. It's unbelievable that white America and people as a whole are not repeating what Muslims are saying when they say death to America. Because I talk to many of them. I see many of them respond to this controversy I started. They're not saying that every American should die, but the ideology that leads to the death of millions of Muslims, the ideology of Western imperialism, it should die. And if you support it, you should die too. And if you don't support it, if you're ally like us, they don't want us to die. And I support that fucking premise, to be honest. Death to America means death to Western corruption, Western imperialism. We all should be saying that. We should have people as upset as we are, as upset as the protesters in the street, as it always should be. Shit. This is the last thing I'll share. I'm gonna be back. I'll be back this week. I'll be back on Thursday evening. Then I'm gonna have my brother's. I have some banger guests lined up with you guys. I have Rome. Rome joined me on Thursday. I have there is this professor that was targeted by Zionists and was fired. I'm thinking of having him on very soon, maybe Thursday as well. My friends at the Palestinian Community Network's coming on, so I got a lot of great guests coming on. So I got a lot of stuff to cover. I got to get to that later. But to show you guys the insane gaslighting from the West, this is an insane questioning done by Tom Cotton to Lloyd Austin, and we were in the stream on this. So let's watch this, where the Pentagon and the position of the Biden administration, like they said many times before, that there's no evidence of genocide in Gaza, which is an absolutely insane thing to say. But let's watch this clip.
Secretary Austin, thank you for acknowledging in response to Senator Wicker that Hamas committed war crimes on October 7th and has been committing them every day since by using human shields. I want to address what the protesters raised earlier. Is Israel committing genocide in Gaza?
Senator Cotton, we don't have any evidence of genocide being created.
So that's a no. Israel's not committing genocide in Gaza.
We don't have evidence of that.
See, Tom Cotton is not even happy with his answer necessarily. The only correct answer, and it's coming from a neutral point of view, the real answer is say, yeah, Israel's committing genocide. But and I'm taking myself out of this, because even if you're a statesman, and I put myself in this position, if you're not a complete piece of shit, you respond with, well, the International Court of Justice, which we recognize, have found that Israel is plausibly committing a genocide. So that's the position that we take. That's like that's what you would expect from a rational statesman, right? They can't even say that. Our government is demanding us to ignore the evidence that our eyes is seeing. Don't listen to the evidence that we are hearing. It's their most important and final demand. The final and most important demand of you. You guys know what I'm referencing there. I kind of butchered it, but let's watch this part again. I'm gonna let it play some more. I'll play it from the beginning.
Austin, thank you for acknowledging in response to Senator Wicker that Hamas committed war crimes on October 7th and has been committing them every day since by using human shields. I want to address what the protesters raised earlier. Is Israel committing genocide in Gaza?
Senator Cotton, we don't have any evidence of genocide being created.
So that's a no. Israel's not committing genocide in Gaza.
We don't have evidence of that, to
Thank
my
you.
knowledge. Yeah.
Better than Director Burns and Director Haynes did last month at the Intelligence Committee when they dodged that question. You stand accused by those protesters of greenlighting genocide. Would you like to respond to that accusation?
What I would say, Senator Cotton, from the very beginning is that we committed to help assist Israel in defending its territory and its people by providing security assistance. And I would remind everybody that, what happened on October 7th was absolutely horrible. Numbers of Israeli citizens killed, and then
Okay. I try to let it play as long as I could. You just heard Anthony Blinken say this very I don't have the footage, man. I wish I did. I saw it earlier when I was doing my news prep, where Anthony Blinken essentially said the same thing when he was asked about genocide. He said it's a neutral bullshit. And they say, you guys got to remember October 7th. You guys got to remember all the innocent Israelis that was killed. Okay. So for the sake of argument, I'm taking myself and my ideology out of it, guys. I can go on a spill about how Israel actually killed all the civilians. Hamas claims they didn't target civilians. They target military infrastructure. And reports shown that it was the IDF and their Apache helicopters that killed the civilians, not Hamas. But let me take my ideology out of it for simplicity's sake. You guys realize that if everything you guys say about Hamas is true, if everything and all the lies that you say about October 7th is true, that still does not give Israel permission to commit war crimes. Do you guys understand that international law does not give an exception for revenge? So if my radical politics scare you guys off and you just watch because you're curious, you can always take that line for these crazy psychopaths in the West because everyone does it. Hey man, what are your thoughts about Israel killing children? What's your thoughts on Israel committing humanitarian law? Hey man, don't you know that Hamas started from October 7th? Okay, ignore my politics. I'm taking myself completely out of this, guys. Let's assume everything they say is correct. They are still wrong. If everything you believe is true about Hamas, Lloyd Austin, that does not give you an exception on international law for revenge. The amount of people in the West that don't understand this is insanity. You can't use starvation as a tool of war, even if you're seeking revenge. Do you guys understand? You cannot engage in collective punishment, even if Hamas is evil. Do you guys understand this? It's insane what our society has become. And this is why I say they are the terrorists, because I am the only people. Well, we're not the only people. I'm getting tired. We're the only channel at RBN who actually define what a terrorist is. Everyone use terms they can't define it. They can't define authoritarianism. They can't define terrorism. They can't define Marxism. They can't define socialism. We're the only people who know what fucking words mean. And we don't got college degrees. A terrorist is someone who believes that there's no red lines when it comes to taking out their enemy. Which means they will do stuff like suicide bombing in front of a ton of civilians. You know what I mean? They may take an airplane and fly into a building. This is what terrorism is. Even if we disagree with the West, no one would disagree with terrorist acts. It's when you're resisting again, when you don't care about general, there's no red lines. That is what a terrorist is. That is what the West is. That is what they openly admit who they are every single day. That is what Lloyd Austin admit right here. Yes, we are facilitating genocide, but do you see what happened on October 7th? We got to have revenge. Since we got to have revenge against our enemies, we can do whatever it takes, even if it means bombing children, even if it means bombing hospitals, even if it means killing journalists, even if it means killing aid workers, even if it means killing Americans. We can do whatever we want. Guys, that's the terrorist. Show me another channel that define it for you. Don't worry, I'll wait. But while we wait, let's continue this clip.
And, numbers of Israeli citizens killed, and then a couple of hundred Israeli citizens taken hostage.
American citizens as well.
American citizens as well.
So you deny the accusation that you greenlit genocide?
I absolutely deny.
Okay. For the record, I don't think Israel's committing genocide. I don't believe you greenlit genocide either.
You guys see how this shit works? I believe Israel not committing genocide. I believe that there's a genocide of Muslims in China, the Uyghur genocide that no one can track. You know, the same Uyghur genocide the Associated Press launched an investigation and found there was no evidence of. The same Uyghur genocide that the Trump administration launched a probe into and they couldn't find any evidence of. They believe, they have faith that genocide is real, but they believe that this is not a genocide, even though we are seeing dead babies. Now that we've seen Gaza, now people know how fucking ridiculous it was that that China was committing a secret genocide that no one can track. Can everyone acknowledge how fucking ridiculous that was? And how I've debunked that. The quote unquote tankies debunked that. The Marxists and the communists, we're the only one who had the bravery to debunk this bullshit. Big shout out to the Gray Zone as well. The Gray Zone, I give them a shout out because they done great reporting on this. Great reporting done from Black Agenda Report as well. And if you if you talk to anyone who repeat the Uyghur genocide bullshit, just remember the Trump administration launched a very extensive probe, and even they who wanted to find evidence of a genocide couldn't do that. And how could China hide a genocide? You guys see Israel can't hide a genocide, and they blacked out electricity. They killed journalists, and they still can't hide it. Every single journalist from CNN, BBC, NPR, they all have to report to the IDF. Do you guys know that? Every single journalist report on the genocide in Gaza, they had to submit everything to the IDF before they report on it. Nice authoritarianism for you. Despite that, Israel still can't hide the genocide, but people believe there's a genocide in China. You guys see how these people, the vast majority of our country, run based on faith? Faith-based. We believe Israel not committing genocide. This is why Americans are antithetical. This is why they hate and despise Marxism. This is why I fuck with Marxism, because Marxism is not faith-based. It's a scientific understanding of our politics and our environment, losing material analysis, dialectical materialism. It's a scientific, fact-based approach towards life. It is very scientific. The majority of our society, and Tom Cotton, a guy who's elected senator, their entire ideology is fact-based. I mean, not fact-based, faith-based. Oh, Jesus. Let's finish the video up.
You talked a lot with Senator Reid about Israel's responsibility to provide aid in Gaza. Why does Israel have a responsibility to provide aid to Gaza? Israel was the victim of an unprovoked, vicious attack on October 7th. Why should they provide aid to their aggressor nation? Or aggressor. Gaza's not a nation. To the aggressors on October 7th.
This is a senator who don't even understand international law. He don't understand that it's the obligation of the occupier to provide food and feed the people they're occupying. He don't understand that it's a war crime to engage in collective punishment and using starvation as a tool of war. He's asking this question like, what? We gotta follow rules? You guys see this rebelling. This is the theme of this show tonight. You guys see how the West is rebelling against the concept of international law that have been long since established? Which is why what South Africa and what Nicaragua is doing is extremely important, because they are challenging the West on this. They are putting these cases to these people's face and demanding an answer from the West. Is international law real or is it not? But sorry, I keep saying I'm gonna finish it, but man, this shit is so hard to get through. But for a second, I really do need to finish this. I'm sure you guys smart enough to debunk. I swear to God, I'll finish it this time. There's so much bullshit, man. So much bullshit.
On October 7th. Why should they provide aid to the aggressor nation or aggressor? Gaza's not a nation. To the aggressors on October 7th. We didn't provide aid to Germany and Japan during World War II.
Oh Jesus!
What we did provide aid to and assistance to many of the countries that we've operated in recently.
But not in World War II. If you had been in George Marshall's or Dwight Eisenhower's position in World War II, would you have wanted to provide aid to Germany?
I really do believe, Senator, that if they want to create a lasting effect and in terms of stability, then I think that something needs to be done to account to help the Palestinian people.
I get that, but they're in the middle of the war. Like we believe that too after World War II. That's why we had the Marshall Plan. That's why we rebuilt Japan. But that was after the war was won, not in the middle of it. And in the meantime, like if it's not Israel's responsibility to provide aid. It's certainly not our responsibility, but we're spending our tax dollars to build this giant pier to send aid into Gaza. Who's going to accept that aid? Who's going to be at the end of the pier on the shore taking aid from American forces?
That's still being worked out, but there will be NGOs that will help to distribute that aid.
That Hamas is in charge of Gaza. When aid goes to Gaza, Hamas doesn't divert it or commandeer it or steal it. It accepts it. And anybody operating in Gaza is under the thumb of Hamas. I just think it's very ill-considered, and I don't think it's going to end very well.
So Tom Cotton is advocating ripping up the Geneva Conventions that we wrote after World War II to make sure that the tragedies of World War II and wars before that, because not only just World War II, it was intellectuals coming together. Like, how can we prevent humanitarian crises in war crimes like that happened in the past? Tom Cotton is essentially saying that we should rip that shit up. Like, you know, the whole concept of international law and the obligation of occupying powers. Come on, man, fuck it. This is a senator, my friend. I didn't pick some weirdo out. This is a fucking senator. But people believe the United States is not a terrorist country. This is a senator that is rejecting the concept. He's not arguing intellectually against the laws. Like, this is why we should have this law, we should have this law. He's not doing that. He's arguing against the concept of international law. The concept of the fact that you're not supposed to use starvation as a tool of war. He's like, what the fuck you talking? He's like, you can't use starvation as a tool of war? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You can't use starvation. If I was going to war, I would do that. What are you talking about? You can't bomb the hospitals. I would do it. What do you mean you can't kill the journalists? Like, you guys see what these people, you guys see the ideology of the West? And people vote for this guy. Your family members in Arkansas vote for this guy. This guy he's famous, crazy, but my senator, Josh Hawley, had the same ideology. You pick any 50 Republican senator, they have the same fucking ideology as this guy. Americans vote for these people to the tune of millions. So once again, I reject liberalism. I believe people should take personal responsibility. I think that you should take responsibility in your community. We need to take responsibility for the reality that we live in right now. So I am demanding Americans take responsibility. I am demanding you guys your family take responsibility. You guys got family members who vote for these people. You're not having conversations about it? At what point do we start the holding people accountable process? Because this shit has gone way too far for me. I don't know about y'all, but this shit's gone way too far. I am pissing a lot of people off. Guys, I'll be seeing people fucking salty ass tears complaining about my anti-American tweets, and I'll just be smiling. I fucking love that bootlicking Americans despise. Like, a few bootlicking Americans despise my politics of relentlessly holding our government accountable. You know how many people on Twitter told me, if you don't like it, you should get out? Always ratio them every single time. Always respond like, no. I'd rather piss you guys off. And I know you guys are generally beta cucks who would leave if a problem got too hard. But I have family here. I would love to leave the United States. I would love to live in Brazil, train jiu-jitsu. I'm not one of the Western chauvinists. There are a lot of beautiful places to live. There are a lot of people out there who are happy. I would be more than happy to leave the United States. But I have revolutionary obligation. I have people who are misguided in my family who would never leave the United States. So I have revolutionary obligation to make things better for them. And since I want to make our country better, and I want to do everything it takes, I am the patriot. Guys, you guys haven't said how much fun I've been having with these people. They're like, Nick, you're so anti-American. Nigga, I am the patriot. The people who get more upset at me calling out this corruption instead of trying to fix the corruption themselves is not a patriot. They're a traitor. The person who tried to make their country better is the patriot. The person who blindly apologized for the government, which is literally the entirety of the Democratic and Republican Party, they are traitors that are betraying their oath that we are supposed to have as Americans, that we're supposed to hold our government accountable. As our civilians, our job is to hold the government accountable. They work for us, not the other way around. But there are people who unapologetically root for our government to the point where they get upset at us for calling out the government. And I said it many times before, I am so glad I have the dumbest enemies, because I love the fact that that's the criticism I have, that I'm too anti-American. The height of cowardice are the people who don't spend their time criticizing the government that governs them. They criticize other countries. They are fucking cowardly. Okay? They are the scourge. They are the scourge of humanity. They are cowards. And I look forward to having their hate. I want to change the culture where you guys stop spending your fucking time criticizing China, communism, Cuba, DPRK, as you guys live in the most violent, corrupt country in modern human history. So that'd be my last rant. 20 minutes long today, 90 minutes, not bad. Whenever I plan an hour, I might as well, if I end with 90 minutes, that's not bad. That's not bad. Did you read Jacobin or watch the Michael Brooks show during the Bernie campaigns? I didn't follow Michael Brooks that much. I've seen some of his stuff, and I didn't know. So to answer your question, no. I remember thinking Jacobin was decent. I wasn't like a reader. I would see their headlines. But when I was a social democrat, I used to think like, man, I'm glad we got places like Jacobin telling the truth. But now I know what Jacobin is. Don't laugh at me, guys. I wasn't a subscriber, never wasn't a reader. But there was a point where I was like, man, Jacobin, man, I really love their analysis. That when I was a fucking social democrat, guys. Shit lib. Now they fucking Jacobin fucking disgust me now, to say the least. They were absolutely disgusting. They just ran I'm trying to remember it. I don't have a segment on it prepared. They was running like some DSA. It was a DSA article talking about. I don't want to misspeak. I don't remember. But point is, I have no respect for Jacobin now. Hopefully that answers your question somewhat. Thank you for the $10. Base or maternal rage. Oh yeah, sorry. I remember the article. I saw a Jacobin article not too long ago that was criticizing the left for going too hard at AOC. I think CJ might have covered this. It was like a few months ago. Like, Jacobin is disgusting. It's disgusting. That's like a recent example of like stuff I've seen from Jacobin. But anyway, let me move on. Thank for $10. Defense equal Hasbara. Impunity equal Terry. What? Breaking Bruzma linked to Moscow. Big Poor Unite. Thank you for $10. I think got a lot of messages in there. Thank you for the $2. He's the one who runs World Central Kitchen. I didn't see when that super chat came in. Oh, he's talking about Jose Andres. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. You talking about something new. I don't know these people by name, so thank you for the information, Chima. But that's in response to that super chat that I read earlier. So thank you, Chima, for both super chats and your enlightening comments. Appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Our brother Roman joined us on Thursday. I'm working on a guest. Big shout out to Midwestern Marks. Noah from Midwestern Marks as well. I'm working on getting a guest who was censored by Zionists for a short interview on Thursday. I have the Palestinian Community Network I'm working on here for the next few weeks. You guys know I'm going to bring the crew back, our boys that do distance, Misty, Kit from Harlan's Media. I got to bring my boys back here very soon. The point is, Kit from Harlan's Media, post-duopoly show. We plan the post-duopoly show for this month. We have a lot of stuff planned for this month. That's why I need that hiatus. Lots going on for the spring season for RBN. I actually have some events planned or I'm planning for my Kansas City mutual aid event. If you're in Kansas City, I'm gonna be reaching out to you. I got an email list, so I'm gonna be reaching out to some Kansas City comrades soon for some early planning. And in fact, I'm thinking that now that I'm spitballing, I might have a meeting. I saw JB had a meeting with his Florida comrades, almost like a meet and greet. I may do that for us to get together. I'm planning. I would love to have like an anti-war action, but I don't know where to fucking start. But I'm gonna try. I have a few actions I want to plan in Kansas City. So if you're in Kansas City, email us. Fuck, where's the email? I know CJ put in here somewhere. Oh Jesus fucking Christ! I know it's info. Fuck. I'm unprofessional as hell. What the hell is our email? I got. Let me go to CJ list. Here it is. Wait, is this it? Here it is. I found it. info@revblacknetwork.com. If you're in Kansas City, email me. I'm gathering emails. Have a decent email list from Kansas City people, but I'm gonna start sending emails out. Our last event was giving out school supplies, so we need to do some. There's another action that I have planned. So if you're in Kansas City, reach out to me. If anything, we're gonna have like a planning session first. So anyway, that's coming up next on RB. We got a lot of stuff planned this year. It's gonna be crazy. We're also going to Chicago for the DNC convention. That's something that we're planning very seriously. So any support to our channel will be appreciated. One thing that I'm gonna do with our 3rd year, we just had our anniversary. One thing that I'm gonna try and do more, I want to do some traveling, I guess. As much as I would love to do more on the ground reporting, which I have done before, like Kansas City is just not the hotspot like Washington D.C. is. I would love to. Like, can you imagine me calling out like a King Jeffries on Israel? Like, you guys see what like Jose does. I would love to call out these people, but my congressperson, and I actually looked, guys. I looked at Emmanuel Cleaver, my congressperson. I'm like, yo, is there like any events he's doing here? I would love to have like a video of me calling out Emmanuel Cleaver, like I'm doing one of those actions. They never fucking do it here. There's like no fucking town halls, nothing going on here. I live in a flyover state, some Midwestern. There's no fucking shit going on here. So as Arbin grow, I might have to fucking go to DC, travel out DC, may do some more traveling for more on the ground events. I see our brothers do dissidents. They do a lot of stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why the channel does so well. Sabby does a lot of stuff like that because Sabby live in Boston, so it's popping in Boston. So Sabby able to do that stuff. So I had to travel. I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in a flyover. So that's something that I have a goal of, my friend. So if you want to see us continue to grow, me do some on the ground reporting, supporting our Patreon, direct donations to our GoFundMe and all that stuff will help as well and allow me to do that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll be back on Thursday night and also be back on Saturday for Nick at noon. I think CJ was live earlier today, so you guys can check out CJ's stream if you didn't already. Thank you guys for checking us out. Have a good day.